Hi, it's been a really long time since I've done a Sharon video, and I'm still in my pajamas and everything, but I felt like I needed to share something because, oh wait, I have to click some stuff away on my screen, otherwise I'm going to be really distracted. I just had such, I don't know, it feels a bit like an epiphany, but when I say that word out loud, it feels like, oh my god, what are you thinking, dude? So let's do a very quick update in case you're just only watching the sharing videos. My last one was a really long time ago, and I think I needed some time for myself to go inwards. And I've been through a lot, and I learned, I think, how to create things from intention rather than what I'm capable of right now, and which I'll share about more in the future. And I feel so much more connected to divine guidance because of that, and to my soul wisdom and all kinds of things. And not so long ago, I got this realization that we need a new way of doing marketing. We're moving into a new world. I can't believe I'm saying this like that. I never openly, like I've for some years now believed in the fact that we're moving into a new world, but it was always other people who were saying it, and I felt like I couldn't, with integrity, say it as if it was my truth. It just was someone else's truth, and it resonated with me. But now I really feel it in myself too, or maybe it's better to call it I dare to acknowledge that I feel it in myself, because I think I did feel it before, but I was just scared because it felt so obnoxious or something, or arrogant to say that there's this new world coming, and I feel like I have to play a part in leading people to that world. So definitely have to work on some inner stuff before I'm ready to fully do that. But at least I'm now openly and publicly acknowledging that calling. I think by now, apparently by now, this was my first my first open acknowledgement, I think. So we're moving into this new world, and this spiritual world, this time that has so much more to do with trust and being integer and authentic and open and trusting in abundance and love and all these beautiful things. And it needs a new way of marketing. That's what I realized. And I think that, so Denise Duffield Thompson has recently been talking about how she felt it's harder now to do marketing online, and I think it's because her marketing is not completely in integrity with herself. Oh my god, I feel in such a weird mood, and that's why I say all these things out loud, because it feels even worse than what I talked about before. Like, how do I dare to assume that I know what's going on with her marketing? So I don't know. Of course I don't know. And it's her stuff, not mine. But that's what it felt like for me. And that makes it harder. And I have parts where my marketing is out of integrity too. Where, so for example, I didn't notice it at the time because I'm this person who really wants to be honest with marketing. And I do want to build my company out of 100% integrity. But it's hard, you know? Even when you have this desire to do so, you're scared. I'm scared, at least. I'm scared that people will think I'm a fraud when I tell them. I sometimes feel like that. But when I did it, it was so amazing, and it resonated with my audience, and it was so much better. And I feel like I need to find all these things where I'm out of integrity and heal it, and find a way that it feels safe for me to tell all those things. And I feel, so let's get back to it for a moment. There's this old way of marketing, and it worked really well in the old world, and we're in this transition. So for every person who's still more in that old paradigm, it works. It doesn't matter who you are as a marketer in the old world. You can just put on this mask of who you publicly are, and people believe the mask. And the mask can look really shiny and pretty, and then people want it and they'll buy from you. But people who are transitioning to the new world, they're way more sensitive for places where you're out of integrity. So if you're a mask, or the projection people have of you is something different than what you truly are, and that doesn't mean there's something like wrong with you, it just means that you're scared to share something, maybe. Or that you don't dare to fully show yourself somewhere. And that's perfectly fine. And doesn't mean you're a bad person or something. It doesn't mean that people who are out of integrity are bad or unethical. That's not what it is. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. And those people in the new world, or transitioning to the new world, they start to sense this. And when you sense that, you're less likely to want to buy because you feel something is off. And you probably, I think most people aren't sensitive enough to know what's going on exactly. They just feel this, oh, it just doesn't call me anymore thing. And I think that's why it's so hard for me to do the marketing stuff, because I learn from people who do it the old way and they have massive success with it because their audience is still in the old world. And my audience are exactly those kind of people who are the first to transition to this new world and this new way of living and the new paradigm, and they're sensing it, or at least a part of them, some of them, and some of them partly. And there will be people who feel like something is off, but they also feel that this is right for them and they'll still buy. And I mean, I make sales and my company is getting more successful and everything. But I think it would be so incredibly much more successful if I heal all the stuff where I'm out of integrity with myself as an entrepreneur. And yeah, so I thought about that. And so what happened? I'm sorry if this is so confusing. This is just me trying to figure it out myself too. And I don't know, I just have to bring it to you really on... It's weird, and I'll get my head around it and tell it in a more logical way in the future, I'm sure. But because of that authenticity and that integrity, because it's such an important thing, I thought I have to share it immediately. I just have to talk about this and not keep this some kind of secret of, oh my god, I'm going to find out a new way to do marketing, which works better, and I'm going to keep it my stuff. You know, even though I'm going to work with it, I don't know, it's getting too complicated. The thing is, I got an email from someone from my audience, and she said that she really liked what I'm doing, but a few months ago I shared about Denise's work, so Denise Duffield Thompson, I don't know, from the Lucky Bitch brand, and she said, well, there are a lot of people like her in my audience who tell me that I feel something is off with her and they don't trust her. And I think it's partly because people in my audience just have money blocks and they're just triggered by someone who so openly wants to receive money, like Denise. I think that's definitely a big part of it too. Maybe it's all of it. Like, again, I don't really know what's going on with Denise. And it made me feel so insecure because I'm like that too. I'm like Denise. I also want to receive a lot of money for the work I do. I want to live abundant and rich life. And I think there's nothing wrong with that or out of integrity. Actually, it would be out of integrity for me to not try to create a company that's like that, because that's who I am and that's what fits me. And there are people who want different sums of money, and it's such a shame sometimes, I find, that we can't just say, oh, it's okay for people to have their own standard of how much money they want. Just like we can allow people to want blue cars and other people want red cars, and we don't put judgments on that. And I think it's the same with money. There are people who want to live rich lives and there are people who want to live poorer lives, and on the soul level that's all different. But we just have different paths and different amounts of money that fit that path. And of course you can drive a red car in a very not integer way, and you can create accidents with it and not pay for your car taxes, or you can steal it. I don't know, you can do horrible things with a red car. But that doesn't mean that the red car is like worse than a blue car, or that you can't do those horrible things if you're riding a blue car. And that's the same with being rich versus being poor or less rich, or, you know, it's who you are. It's not about the money. The money is just an amplifier of who you are. And yeah, if you're richer, it can be more visible, but I'm not even sure about that. So, what did I want to say? It made me feel insecure, because I'm scared that if I speak openly about this, that people don't want to be in my audience anymore, and they don't trust me, and they don't want to give me money anymore, and I won't be able to make money in an integer way, and I will just never be rich, which feels horrible to me, because I think if I create something valuable, then it's okay, right? If I get money for that. Why does it feel so icky? Why did we all decide that it's something icky? Definitely doesn't have to be. Yeah, so then I stood up from my computer and I felt a bit down, and some voice inside said, but you know what's going on? You learned that Denise's work is out of integrity. Like, not her work, by the way, that's not what I said. Let's erase that. I feel like her work is actually becoming more and more in integrity with herself, and she's changing much, and she's creating her company towards those changes as well. Like, I feel like inside there's really something happening there, but her marketing is somehow still left in that old world stuff. And I think maybe it's that people have the money blocks, okay, but if they have the money blocks and they sense that sort of integrity thing, I think that's when it clashes. Whereas if they had the money blocks and Denise would come forth in full integrity with her marketing, she could reach that and tell them, show them that it's actually not that bad, that money isn't necessarily a bad thing, and then they might be ready to follow the next step with her, or they might feel that it's not for them, and both is fine. But then it's from a sort of more right point, a freer, a truer point, rather than blocks and icky stuff and weird stuff, but just a genuine, this is my path or this is not. And that's really different. So I told that myself, or something in me told it me. I don't know. I get so confused with all the inner voices. Yeah, and I saw how I sort of acknowledged toward myself what I just told here, that it feels like we need this new kind of marketing, and spiritual entrepreneurs are going to be the ones who need it most right now, who are going to need it first, because we are on that avant-garde point. You know, I find it so exciting, by the way. When I learned about avant-garde in art school, I always felt so excited, like, oh my god, it must be so awesome to be like the pioneers, to be the first of a new movement. But how the heck do you do it? Because it's new. You can't follow, you know? It's really hard to be avant-garde, I always thought, but I wanted to be so bad. And now I feel like I ended up being it, and I didn't even know how it happened. It just happened. It's so weird. And oh my god, I felt so incredibly weird too in that moment, because I thought, okay, the world needs a new kind of marketing. I'm so scared to admit this still. Oh my god, I feel so arrogant. But in that moment where no one was witnessing, and I wasn't telling you guys for sure, where it was just me, I could just let it all fade a little bit. And I thought, okay, I accept that this world needs a new kind of marketing. I accept that I picked up on that. I think there are more people who can pick up on it. It's not like something special that I invented. I just picked it up. And I must admit, it feels really awesome to be able to pick it up. And that's like a special gift too, I think. But it's not like it's my property or something, you know? It's not something I made up. It's just, well, like I said, I picked it up. Okay, we're going so long-winded here. Now I hate my hair. Why did I do that? Sorry, this is so not getting to a point. And I'm getting really hot in my towel, so I want to finish the video. I thought, okay, so I accepted this world needs a new way of marketing. And I said to the universe, okay, let's do it. I'm ready. I'm willing to be the one who tells that to the world and who's going to teach that and who's going to find out what the new way actually is and how. Like, I mean, I know what the new way is. It's about that integrity thing that I talked to you about. But how, you know, it's like how in a day-to-day basis, how in action steps can you do that integrity marketing, that soulful marketing? That's what I want to find out. And I told the universe, I'm ready. And I looked in this room and it felt like something had shifted. Like I was perceiving the world in a different way, a bit dreamlike or something. And it feels really vulnerable to share this because I'm so scared that someone's going to tell me it was all your imagination. And who the hell are you thinking that you're putting this on the internet, you know? Oh my god, it's so scared. Yes, I am scared. But I have to give it a try, and it's okay if I'm ridiculed and if people say this is bullshit, and it's even okay if it appears to be bullshit. I'd rather find it out by sharing about it than to just keeping it to myself and ignoring it and saying like, I didn't hear all of this. This is just my imagination, you know? So I'm here and I'm saying, okay, I'm taking the leap. I'm trusting that I heard this and it's worth giving it a shot. And deep, deep, deep down, I secretly know it's true. Oh my god. Yeah, so I told the universe that I felt willing to do that. And I felt so much purpose. And I mean, I know there are a lot of other things I have to do in this life too. Sometimes it feels like, oh my god, what kind of contract did my soul make? It keeps like, I mean, I feel like I already have so much work to do in Commit Happiness itself, but it's so related at the same time. Like, I can't do my work in Commit Happiness without finding out the new way of marketing, so I have to do it anyway. Then I can just as well share about it here at Life of a Hippie CEO, right? And start that movement. And it felt like such a beautiful co-creation. Or I sort of told the universe I'm ready, but I want to co-create, and probably it wanted me to say that all the time, all along, but I felt like, oh my god, I'm getting so grown up. I'm telling the universe that I want to co-create and not do it all by myself. Well, the universe is like this parent figure who's all the time like, but I was willing to help you. Of course I'm going to help you. So I told it like, okay, but I just want to receive it, you know? I want to put it into the work. I want to share the messages like I'm sharing it now. But let you be the one who gives me the hints and who gives me the audience, like who connects me to the people who are willing to listen. And of course that means that I'm going to put up the website, of course, but I don't want this hard hustle marketing way of doing it, which is funnily the old way, which I'm like, it would be weird to be like, oh, I'm going to teach the new way of marketing by growing my company with the old way of marketing, you know? It's weird. So it was not a good option anyway, I found out, but I didn't realize before I spoke that out loud. So not that hustle, oh, I have to reach an audience, I have to publish weekly, I have to think about everything and do stuff I don't like to reach people. No. And I don't know how, because I don't know what the new way of marketing exactly entails right now. But I do know that that's the way I'm going to build Life of a Hippie CEO. And till the time, I'm just going to record the journey so people can look it all back and view my growth, because I think that's such an important part of it, you know? I can't just be there on the mountain, achieve the soulful marketing thing and tell you how to do it. I think it's really important that you see how I got there. That's like, it's not necessary, but it's such a valuable thing to add. I wish I could do that with Commit Happiness, to really real time tell people, look, this is what I was like a few years ago, and this is where I'm now, and this is the journey in between. And it's so wonderful that with Life of a Hippie CEO, I sense it, that I'm going to share about this later, and I can record the journey now, so you can all have that. So I'm just going to keep sharing here, about finding my way, about what it's like. I'm going to experiment in commit happiness with the new way of marketing and what works, what doesn't work, how I'm going to find my integrity and all these kind of things. And just in a deep trust that the watchers will come for Life of Hippie CEO. I've secretly always felt that. And I think you know that if you saw my sharing videos, because sometimes I was like, oh, I just feel like you're here. And I think that's not my wishful thinking, actually. I think it's just coming from a deep trust that Life of Hippie CEO will have its time, but it's always later than I rationally thought it was. And I find out today that I don't actually have to put in that much work to get there. So I'm focusing on sharing right now here. I think that's the right thing to do. I'm not going to focus on anything that doesn't bring me joy, which I already decided, but sometimes you have to redecide things again and again, you know, when you're a bit uncertain about them at the same time. Well, you actually already knew what was good for you and what you were called to. But now I understand why, or at least I see some kind of bigger picture, and that makes it easier. So it's just income reports and sharing videos, and we'll see when the wind changes. Oh my god, I feel so excited about it too. Like, oh my god, it's so a new time, and we're the avant-garde. And you might be watching this at a whole different point of time, but man, if you're watching this while we're still living mostly in the old world, you're avant-garde too, man. And it's so amazing to be part of this movement together. And oh, we're going to bring the world to such a beautiful place. Wow. And it's going to be in this really soft and loving way, you know? Like revolutions or revolutions, I think mostly, changes in history often came with so much like force and aggression even, and like such a I'm saying this and I'm thinking, what the fuck, I only have my high school history lessons and I forgot most of it, so what am I talking about? But I have this feeling that we did it in like the whole history, man, it's full of wars and nasty stuff, you know, and maybe that's just because, like how we focus on the news, there's beautiful things happening everywhere and we're just focusing on the big catastrophes. But okay, so for instance, if you take like the French Revolution, right, that's a clear example of where we're going like, oh, we feel that there's this new way that we need, and then we do it by slaughtering, killing the old way, you know? And I think that's so much not how this is going to be. This is going to be like this beautiful transition that's completely voluntarily. Like, we're not standing up as dictators or as an army or something, you know? We're just here as leaders, as people who put out invitations and who say, hey, I've got a beautiful message to share, and if you're ready, come and listen. And if you're not ready, then do things your way. You're welcome to stay in the old world. I think that's an important part. And I'm not sure, like, what I shared before was all stuff I felt that I really felt from inside, and now I'm just speculating, and maybe it's coming from a different space, but I don't know, man. I'm not good either at distinguishing between what's coming from intuition and deeper knowledge and stuff, and collective guidance, versus my mind making it up. But it feels true in some way to me, so it feels right. I think that's the most important, right? That makes you feel joyful. That's what I should put in my course. I'm still collecting the pieces for my course right now for the last module, where I'm going to talk about how you differentiate between those two. So back to the story again. It's going to be such a lovely way, and people are allowed to stay in the old way. I once heard a talk from a spiritual teacher where he said like, oh, if you're not going to follow your joy, you'll wither and die. And maybe it's true. I mean, I really put him on a pedestal, and I think there's a lot of truth in what he says. But I now see how it also made me feel a bit stressed. I sometimes feel resistance towards this new spiritual movement thing. Me too, you know? Well, I feel like I'm playing such a big part in it, but sometimes it scares the hell out of me, and I feel like scared because things will change, and it feels unsafe to me as well. And I start to think, oh, but if everything goes so fast and lovely, will there still be value for me as a person? Is there still a need for me to exist? Is there a need for my work, which I love doing? Will I have enough money? And like all of these concerns, they're probably not what's going to happen when we transition to the new world. I think the new world is honestly the best place for everyone, but we can't force it. It can only be the best place for everyone if everyone enters there voluntarily. So I think that's a very important part of how we're going to do this revolution together. It's like with so much love and with so much, okay, come when you're ready. And if you feel somewhat ready but you feel scared, let us talk about it. Let us comfort you and soothe you and make you feel safe in making this transition. And if you totally don't want to hear anything about it, that's okay too, you know? I mean, and it's sort of a hard job, because if we see how this can help someone and we really believe in that, it's hard to trust that we have to honor their own space and that it won't help them to force it upon them, you know? And really trust that it's only going to work if people want it themselves, which is like we all the time see it with advice, right? We know sometimes we think we know what's best for someone, but sometimes we have like really advice that helps people. But if they come to you asking for that advice, they'll be like, oh my God, thank you so much. And then they might do something with the advice and their life changes. But if they're not asking for it and we go like, oh my God, you should do this and this, they'll probably just build one big block of resistance towards you, block you out completely, not even try out the advice. And if they do it, it might be from such a wrong energetic place that it doesn't even help them that much. So I think that's another important part of it. The sharing video is getting super long. And I think I already told the things I really wanted to talk about. So I'm going to close it off. With more genuine feeling in my heart, I can say thank you for watching, because the more I embrace that you are here, the more I can feel it. And yeah, see you next time. I hope this gave you some inspiration or helped you in one way or the other. And I wish you a great time ahead.